Welcome back, good morning, and welcome to the Reaper Pro Tips Friday edition with me, your host, Anne, and Quindy, who is reassuring everybody that no, there's not supposed to be any sound on the starting screen. If there was, you could hear me like sneezing and running around looking for my flannel, and that would just be silly. So, instead, we have sound now. Bum-bum-bum. Happy Friday. Hey, Gibson. Hey, Green Users. Hey, everybody. So, we're not here Monday. 4th of July. Yay, holiday. In addition, just a quick update, and for Quindy also, next week is David's mom's birthday. We are flying to Seattle to go and celebrate that with her. So you will be Anne-less for 3 out of 5 days next week. Because Monday's the 4th, and then we're flying out Thursday. So, sorry guys, you only give me Tuesday, Wednesday. So you'll have to figure out what to do with yourselves. This is just, I'm training you. I'm here. I'll even go and get a clicker. I'll use a clicker and I'll train you to get ready for the puppy when you're going to be without me for a week. Oh, you'll deal, Crowley. Yeah, it's Ann Light. They do shoot off fireworks, but because San Francisco, there's usually overcast, so it can be hard to see them, Pendrake. Last time it was really overcast on the 4th, and there was so much fog we didn't see. We actually had to leave the house of the party person, the host. We had to leave his condo, and when we were driving home, we actually saw fireworks. But yeah. Yeah, but it's to get the puppy twisted, Oma. I mean, come on, priorities. Priorities, please. You have it written down. Good deal. Yeah, so off Thursday, off Friday this week, and off Monday. And light, we'll have Tuesday, Wednesday. And then you'll have me for a good long time, because I think we really aren't doing anything else big until getting the puppy, and that'll be August 17th, 18th, 19th, whatever. So, oh, you've missed a crap ton of puppy news if you haven't been. They were born Monday, Gibson. You have missed so much puppy news. So much. I don't think I have new pictures today, though. I don't think I have new pictures, although Bridget did post an update on our social media for our club. Nope. Not new pictures, but just because of Gibson, I will try to find a picture. There are a couple little puppy bean pictures actually that you guys didn't get. So here, puppy beans, or as I was corrected, they are fur dumplings yesterday. So some of the pups are more smooth, and some have the kind of kinky coat. I'm betting that because that's from the Wetterhound side, but the daddy, Floyd, he does have a bit of a wave to his coat. It's not as tight as this. It's not going to be really a curly coat, but it'll be kind of wavy. So some of the pups, and we may be wrong about this because, a lot changes. But some of them have crinkly coats and some of them have very smooth coats. But right now they are puppy dumplings. They are, in fact, heat-seeking milk missiles, quote unquote. Did you know that baby puppies at this stage, their eyes and their ears are sealed closed because otherwise they would take damage from light and sounds? And they actually have little sensors on next to their nose that are heat seekers. So when a little baby puppy is swinging its head around, it's actually using its heat-seeking missile to try to find litter mates or mama because they can't regulate their body temperature at this age. So they have to be, that's why Puppy Pile exists, is because puppies actually are born a little cool, like 95, 97 degrees. And mama's, adult dog temperature is usually about 100, 101, 102. So puppies need mama's warmth, or they need to gather together for warmth, or they need a heating pad. So that's why they have little heat seekers. But yes, they have little cute, hold on, let me see. Do I have another? There's one of them up close. Scanlan, green boy, with his little white toes and his little pink tongue showing. But yeah, so he's one of the smoother ones. He also has a giant head. He's got a giant noggin. So yeah, blep. There's your blep for the day. There are lots of bleps when they're this age. Let me see. Any other pictures? So those are new pictures. Y'all got new pictures there. Let's see here. Pink girl showing her belly, nursing upside down. And then yellow girl, this is yellow girl, she's a sable. You can see she's gotten lighter. You can see the brown in her fur now, and also that her fur has got that wave to it. Blue boy is a solid black. That's Percy. I think he's Bridget's favorite. But yeah, so there they all are. All the little puppers. Zammy's being a really good mommy. Super fantastic. Awesome. So there we go. Pup date. Pup date. Final puppy count was 7, Gibson. 3 girls, 4 boys. Kariniko got the correct guess along with Bridget, the breeder. She actually, that was the guess she wanted because she wanted to name them after Critical Role Season 1. So everybody's got names based on the Critical Role characters from Season 1. Because Bridget is now a giant D&D nerd. After spending most of her life being totally not a nerd, she discovered Dungeons and Dragons and miniature painting, and now she is one of us. So yeah, let's see, what do we want to do today? I think I want, since I'm bringing up the wood here, I think I'm going to go black with the straps because it's nice and invisible, and the straps aren't super important. So I'm going to do that. They would have had Critical Role names anyway. It was just, are we going to get the right count for perfect Critical Role names? So we did, Gibson. So we have Percy and Scanlan are the solid black boys, and Pike is the solid black girl. And then there are 2 dual colored, which are going to be saddle marked when they're adults, although they might be blanket. They might have bigger or smaller saddles. But they are twins, so they are Vex and Vax. And because you really can't tell them apart until you look really close. And then the sable, the big sable boy, who's the biggest pup in the litter right now and has been since birth, is Grog. And the sable girl is Keyleth. And that is all 7. Cool, you're using wet palette. Awesome. You know the rule about wet palettes, right? Use a thicker brush. Like a brush with some body to it. And if you're using a thicker paint on it, use a bigger brush. And you'll have better success. Let's see here. Need water. So we're going to just blacken the straps real quick. And then I'm going to go and probably work on this wood grain. Yeah, you need a chonky brush. So essentially, just remember, thicker paint equals thicker brush. And thin paint, if you're going to really thin it down, then you want to switch to your well, and you want to use a thinner brush. And that's just purely to, it's not that you can't use one with the other. As always, with all rules that I give on this show, rules in quotation marks, I'm crooked. There we go. You can use a thin brush on a wet palette, and you can use a thick brush in a well. It's just that sometimes it'll be just a little bit harder. Like you won't, obviously, when you're mixing paint, you won't get as much. A thin brush, sometimes if the paint is thicker, it won't come off as easily onto the model. And if you are using thicker paint, a bigger brush means the paint won't dry on your brush as quickly. And when you're using really thin paint, then if you use a big bellied brush, it's going to sop up a lot of paint right out of your palette. It's going to take you forever to unload the brush to the point where you can have control. So those are the things. And my video will be up on my new YouTube video will be up today, and I'm actually talking about all that thing about brushes. And I do include that information. Yeah, there are days when Kuro doesn't tune in. She got all the pup dates from earlier in the week, though. Let's see here. What do I want to do? This one. Oh, is it Canada Day? Canada Day. So yeah, a new YouTube video up later today, guys. I've just been kind of like this. June was weird just because birthday and traveling for family and all that kind of thing. And now July is going to be weird because more traveling for family, just a different family. I feel like I'm out of focus for one thing, and I am. I feel like I'm unfocused. And I totally am a squirrel today. Squirrel. But yeah, July's gonna be weird. Then the puppy's gonna be weird. All of my summer is weird this year. I'm just gonna have to like totally slack off when I have my slack time. I like my summer to be a little more relaxed than this, but we're trying to fit in a bunch of stuff before the puppy limits our traveling. When she's a baby, we won't be able to do much, so. Ookly dookly. And I have so much puppy, like, reading to catch up on and video watching. All right, so black straps, they're just going to kind of disappear right now. I will bring them up with highlights. It was really a choice between a really light strap and a dark strap, and I decided I just don't want to attract the attention more over here. The wood grain is already going to be something that will catch your eye, but not nearly like the kid egg catches your eye because we're using such light colors on his NMM and has got the bright orange fur. So that's tactical. Great, Gibson. Sounds good. Yay, lots of mini painting. I've been just so disrupted. I'm totally disrupted by puppy. I knew it too. I knew the minute the puppies were actually born that my brain would be completely destroyed, like, and invaded by puppy things. Puppy has taken over Anne's consciousness for the next 8 weeks. Reinforced by the fact that the breeder is a really good friend of mine and we talk every day. So yeah, Pupster. I'm impatient because I want the puppies to get to the point where I can start seeing their furry little faces and have their eyes open and start seeing their expressions and personalities and stuff. And that's a good like 10 days out still. Yeah, the fur dumpling pictures, right. Yeah, I actually looked up I don't really believe in like puppy socialization classes per se, because I don't necessarily want my dog to be like Oliver wanting to play with every other dog. But I did look up dog training and puppy training in my area, and there is actually a very highly rated trainer right here in Mountain View, so that made me happy. So I will probably investigate him and see. He does offer classes, but they are pretty flexible because, you know, you never know how many puppies you're going to have in the area at any given time. But yeah, if I can get into a puppy class when the puppy's a little older, that would be great. Alright, I lost a little bit of my lining here on the leg. Gonna bring that back since I have some dark. When you're lining, like, it doesn't really matter as long as you're using a dark color. Like, if you have to touch up lining, use whatever dark color you have. Don't be overthinking your lining, because one near black color is very like another near black color, and when you're doing such a small line, chances are you won't be able to see the difference anyway, even if you're using different colors. The exception would be if you're using something like Death Knight Black and Walnut, where Death Knight Black is actually kind of a more translucent liner, so it's good for cool, like, more subtle shadows. But Walnut is a very bold line, and so you'll see the difference in the quality of the line work there. Yeah, I've always been, we didn't really do puppy classes with my dogs. Like, I expected my dogs not to freak out if they saw another dog on the street, but you don't really need a puppy class for that, right? So we did puppy classes with Leo and with Kiri, but not till they were a little older. And Thorn was a reactive dog and pretty much a jerk from day one, so he was a special case. I have dealt with all sorts of dogs in my time. I would kind of like to just get, because I've never actually clicker trained, and the timing is important on clicker training. So I thought about just having a session with this dude, getting some feedback on my handler skills, since as a human being, you know, your own particulars are going to influence your puppy's training. I'm going to do my best to come out with a really, really good little dog. Alrighty. Yeah, I like to have the dog, experience having other dogs around in a controlled setting, and that's the attraction of puppy classes, as long as it is a controlled setting. So I want her to be able to function and respond to commands when there are other dogs running, because the places where I typically walk, one of them is our local little park that's attached to the grade school right here in our neighborhood. And there are definitely kids running and dogs running and all sorts of stuff. So I do want her to be able to keep focus and listen to commands when those things are around. So that it makes sense to kind of proof. But yeah, on the other hand, if I can find a dog trainer who's really fun and who can maybe recommend a good maybe opening starting agility course, I don't know. It depends on the puppy. It's just going to come down to the puppy. If she doesn't seem like she's really got the energy for agility, then maybe we don't go that way. We're gonna shape what we do with our puppy to whoever our puppy is. Bottom line. There we go. So I just had a bit of I needed a shadow there under the arm. It's just what puppies do. Yeah. Clicker training is marker training, is what it really is, Pendrake. They call it clicker training because most marker training is done using a clicker. You actually have a little device that's just like a little piece of metal in a plastic thing, and it just clicks. It goes when you click, and it's a sharp noise. And the idea is that once you have loaded the clicker, in other words, you've associated your puppy with the idea that when there's a click, the puppy gets a treat or fun right after the click, then essentially the puppy will, you're able to cue the puppy to certain behaviors. So when you're starting to teach the puppy, say, to turn in a circle, you can click and reward when the puppy even starts to turn, and then you work that into the complete behavior. So you teach it in stages. Yeah, it's gold when you have a trainer you love, right, Gibson? So that's what marker training is. Essentially, it marks the moment the puppy starts the behavior and the puppy gets a treat. And so then the puppy is incentivized to figure out, what do I have to do to get more treats? And so you can train quite complex behaviors, like all those dogs that do freestyle dancing with their handlers and all that stuff like that, and things like agility and complicated things that you do with your dog, and simple stuff too. But you essentially are just marking the behavior so that you can teach your dog in stages. And also, it's an easy, fast way to tell your pup, yes, that was right, without you having to say, yes, that was right, which takes a lot more time. And also, dogs don't speak English, not right away, or don't understand English right away. So you spewing a lot of words means nothing to the dog, but if they learn that one sharp noise means treat or reward, since some dogs are not into treats, some people use toys. But yeah, that's what clicker training is. And clicker training kind of was sneered at when it first came out. But now animal behavioral science have proven that clicker is scientifically valid. It really helps not just with dogs, but with horses and other animals. You can clicker train your cat. At least if you have an appropriate cat. I don't think every cat can be clicker trained. I really doubt that, just having experienced cats. But there are cats who can be clicker trained. Hi there, Kana. We're talking cats and dogs because we're painting a Catfolk, so why not? And I'm about to get a puppy in less than 2 months, so yeah, we're talking. Pendrake asked what clicker training was, so I was just explaining. Alrighty. Also important to say that you don't necessarily need a clicker to do clicker training. That's why I like to call it marker training, as long as you have something that you can associate. These puppies are all coming to me pre-clicker trained, by the way, because the breeder is going to be starting simple clicker training with them at like 6 or 7 weeks, I think. You can actually do that. Like, you can start that young. All right, we used Shield Brown to start out with the wood grain here. I'm going to go up to the next color in its triad. Going to go up to Driftwood Brown, one of my favorite colors. Haven't used it for a while, so let's do that. And I will mix up a little bit of Shield Brown so that I can touch things up. That's funny, Kana. Yeah, the laser pointer is always a favorite with the kitties, right? The only problem is that some animals will get really addicted to the little red bug, as I like to call it. And then they just won't, like, it'll be unhealthy for them, so you gotta watch that. Alrighty. Now we've got our browns. You can see the Shield Brown and the Driftwood Brown. Now, if you want to suggest that the wood is really worn and weathered, then you'd go up more with a grayish color. But this is a Paladin, and he's super shiny, so I don't think I need to do the gray weathering on this one. It's not really the right model for it. Why am I so crooked? I am so crooked. There, okay. Oh, interesting. Yeah, be careful. Yeah. Yeah, with bigger breeds, we've seen, because we do x-ray our dogs, we have seen that with large breeds, the hips can be a little lax at really early ages just because stuff is still developing, and then they tighten up by the time the dog's, like, you know, mature. But that is not necessarily the case with all breeds. And often, yeah. I'm sorry. Canine hip dysplasia, Kana. CHD is canine hip dysplasia. Public enemy number 1. Hey, Carrie Michael Cosby. Uh-oh, 2-year anniversary. Double sub-anniversary, double sub-anniversary, double sub-anniversary. Happy double sub-anniversary. Thank you, Carrie. Yeah, I know. It's weird, right? The hip dysplasia thing happening to kitties, too. And the funny thing, I think I talked to a vet once who thought that it was just that lighter weight animals, you wouldn't see the signs. Like, it wouldn't be clinical as often, is what she thought. Because they're so lightweight. Which is why a lot of breeders of smaller breeds thought that they just didn't have hip dysplasia in their breed, but then until they started x-raying. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, a lot of us, of course I have a bigger breed, so we've been fighting it for, it's actually the reason our breed was created, was to try to get away from hip dysplasia that was so common in the German Shepherd in the 80s. The only problem, the big problem with dysplasia is you have to really have everybody united in fighting it, because you can tackle it and you can improve, but you really need a lot of breeders on board to do that. And it's hard to get that here in America because there's so many thousands of dogs and there's so many people breeding, and not all breeders care or want to x-ray all their pups, and it's hard. In Germany, they started making a bit more headway because they just mandated it, like the SV, which is the German Shepherd breed organization that was started way back in 1899 when von Steffenwitz created the German Shepherd. They pretty much got everybody on board because they have enough power in the breed in Germany to do that. But here in America, we don't do that stuff. Oh, 13 pounds, wow. 8-year-old cat. Yeah, the cowhawks, yeah. Could be a couple different things, Kana. But yeah, get her checked out. No harm in that. In dogs, we see cowhawks coming from a couple of different things. And it's not always like hip related. Like sometimes it can be knees that turn out a little bit too much, stuff like that. But yeah, definitely. I'm a paranoid pet owner, so yeah, the minute anything like is questionable, I head to the vet. So I'm with you. Hey, Dicey Guy, thank you for the raid. We're talking cats and dogs because we're painting a kitty. So yeah, we were just actually talking about hip dysplasia. All right, so I'm essentially taking this driftwood brown and I am using it to get the lines a little more crisp here. So I'm mostly using it right up against the dark lines. And remember, the dark lines actually aren't painted in. The whole shield was painted dark, and then I used our shield brown to just block in boards. So now I'm using my driftwood to actually highlight those boards and make them more evident. Yeah. Yeah, hip dysplasia is just an evil thing. Like, our breed has been working on it, and what our breed founder found, is that to really make headway against it as a breeder and as a breed, you need to actually x-ray all your puppies, not just your breed quality puppies, not just the puppies who are going to be breeding. Because if you don't x-ray all your pups, then you could have dysplastic puppies that just don't, they aren't clinical, so you just don't know. If you don't know that you've got this in your lines, then you're going to not make the best decisions to breed away from it. So we actually try to x-ray 100% in my breed of our puppies, even the pets. Because then what our breed founder found was that the more dysplastic puppies in a litter, the higher the likelihood that one of the breeding dogs from that litter was going to throw hip dysplasia themselves. So if you have a litter of 10 puppies and one of the pups is mildly dysplastic, it's likely that the other pups from that litter actually won't throw it. Or if they do throw it, it'll be mild, or they'll just have one pup in 20 or whatever. But if you've got a litter of 7 puppies where 3 of them end up dysplastic, it's a higher percentage chance that the dog, any of the dogs related to that puppy, any of the litter mates will throw it. So that's how she started trying to control it. I don't want to go that far. There are good breeders in the GSD breed. There are also a lot of irresponsible breeders. I think that's true. Only in Germany, and in some European countries, because remember, it's not just in the US, right? But in some European countries, they're actually really persnickety. If you're going to be a breeder, you have to actually go to school in the Netherlands to be a breeder. So it's crazy. That said, my breed, Shiloh Shepherds, did come from German Shepherds, and our breed founder split off because she was having such problems with hip dysplasia. But this was back in the 80s. Long time ago. But yeah, I don't think you can paint everybody with a broad brush. Especially people who breed working German Shepherds, like what they call working lines or DDR lines in Germany. Those dogs are pretty healthy, structured, and a lot of the breeding community seems pretty savvy. But yeah, it depends. It always depends. Yeah. This is true. It is the sad truth. Just like anything else in the world, right? You're gonna have some people who are just like, ugh. And some breeds, it really varies. You can get good breeders in any breed, though. I just think that it must be kind of frustrating for them when you're like one of very few good breeders. All right, so I'm putting in a dark shadow underneath the arm here. So you can see that. I've thinned down a mixture of shield brown and a little bit of my shadow color here. And just blocked that in so that I could create a shadow here up top, because that's where the cape is really close to the side of the shield there, so it blocked the light a little. I'm going to bring in highlights along the top here next, and a little bit more down here on the bottom. Yeah, I love shepherds. Yeah, there are actually two legitimate breeds that were created that way, Dicey. It seems like there's all sorts of weird breeds that are out there. Breeds, I use a very loose term, that people are trying to mix, like German Shepherd and Wolf. But there actually are two that are came from experiments during the 40s. The Czechoslovakian Vlach is one, also called the Czech Wolf Dog. They haven't had an influx of wolf blood for like 40 years. And actually, when they tested them genetically lately, they found that all the wolf had pretty much been washed out. But they were made because there was a military program that wanted to get the health of the wolf with the and the intelligence along with the trainability of the German Shepherd. So the Czech Wolf Dog was created that way. And then the other one with a very similar origin story is the Saarloos Wolf Dog. But those are the only two, like, legit. Like, they're actually, the Czech Wolf Dog is in process to be recognized by the AKC. Yeah, the Jurassic Park joke is funny. I get the reference, Cursed, but I like a functional dog. How about that? Let's just go there. But yeah. But yeah, so there are two legit breeds that started with that in mind, but that, you know, they're not like a wolf hybrid. They haven't had any, they started that way and then they just bred within their pool. But yeah, there's a lot of breeds out there that are like where they're like newer breeds and the breed founder is not telling the truth about wolf content, and then somebody runs out and gets their puppy embarked and finds out that they have like a 40% wolf hybrid in a state where that's illegal. Yeah, it's crazy. Yep. Yeah. It's by Field Gibson. I try to go halfway between. So here. So about, you know, it's darker than that. It's significantly lighter than that. You want to be able to see. What in the past we've talked about using our grayscale on our color wheel for this, and how usually when I go up from one step to another, I'm going up about a step to a step and a half. So as far as the value scale, I want to see at least that much difference between, and sometimes just a little bit more. Does that make sense? So the color wheel is really useful that way. You can actually kind of bend it and put. So here we can see that that's a value 4, because it's almost a perfect value 4 when it lays over that like that. Whereas you can say like, this is definitely not, this is a value 1. And then this brown here is more of a value 4, I'm thinking. Yeah, there we go. So when you put the edge next to it and it kind of disappears. So that means that this is actually 2 steps more than that and 1 step down from this. Does that make sense? If you do not close your mouth, be ready to be like tongue kissed. Most humans are smart after the first time they accidentally get a, face full of dog tongue. Dogs don't care. They just want to lick you. They're like, oh, yay, human, I am so glad you are here. And the human's like, pretty much. And sadly, my dogs always thought that noise was the funniest thing ever, so then they wanted to lick me more. Because, you know, dogs. This is the one thing that David is, like, not going to be thrilled about with dogs, I bet. We're going to have to, like, hope we don't get a terribly licky puppy. Alrighty, so I've still got my lines are still pretty clear on the boards here, so I shouldn't need to worry about that. I did add a little bit of cairnstone into my driftwood just to lighten it up just a little bit, so we're going to see how that is. But yeah, I'm looking forward to training this puppy. I'm all excited to do some trick training with her. I did some tricks with one of my older dogs back when I still had dogs. And I really enjoyed it. Super fun. And then your dog looks like a genius because they know all these cool tricks. So I'm going to definitely do that. Anything else is going to depend on, like, with the puppy. If the puppy really loves frisbees, maybe we'll try some disc dog. If the puppy really loves, you know, like jumping and stuff, maybe we'll try some agility. All depends. I'm very interested. I haven't had a puppy for over a decade now. I'm very interested in seeing what this particular puppy wants to do. So every puppy's an individual. There we go. So just that little bit of lightning, you know, fading out a little bit on the edge of the shield. Yeah, wild animals are a different thing though, Daisy Guy, for sure. Yeah, we shall see. I'm very excited I'm using a different puppy protocol to train the puppy this time. Kind of a system that I'm very excited about because it's a lot more cooperative training method. Trying to get the puppy to do things because the puppy wants them to do them, so we'll see. We'll see how I do. The puppy will probably be whip smart. It's going to be me. That's the problem. David thinks he's going to be the problem because he's never raised a puppy ever before and never lived with a dog other than Kiri, who was very well trained when we got here. Russian blues are pretty. All right, so now I'm going to try to fade out at the top because you can see that fade along the bottom edge, right? So it just brings out the details a little bit more. Now I would say, I am suggesting a little bit of wood grain on here. You probably wouldn't see a lot. Obviously wood grain really varies by the actual wood used, but on a 28mm model, you aren't going to have a lot of room to do that. I actually just picked up a really cool book. It's an art book. It's out of print. My mom had it, so I bought it used. But it actually shows examples of different types of wood grain, but you could find that online as well. So if you have like a bigger model, it might be worth, like, especially a historical model, like if you look up, like if you have a Celt and Celts' shields were made of like oak traditionally, then you could look up like examples of oak wood grain and actually suggest that. That would be pretty cool. This is 28mm, yeah. I don't like to go too crazy with the wood grain. I like it to be there, but I don't like it to be too over the top because I don't want to distract attention. That's why I'm keeping it kind of darker. Oh yeah, she sounds like a pretty cat, Kana. Alrighty, so just a little bit of light around the top and bottom, and then you've got this kind of blending into the shadow here. That helps keep a lot of the shield dark, which helps keep it from being too distracting. Like, when you do this kind of thing, obviously you don't want people to just stare at the wood grain that you're doing. Like, that's the most frustrating thing in the world. And I have seen this even on, like, on Discords and stuff, where somebody will have done wood grain on, like, the spear haft or something. And it'll be really bold wood grain, and the first thing, like the only thing that people will say when they see the model is great wood grain. Like, they don't look at, that's what they looked at. And that's kind of a fail because your spear haft is not the most important part of your figure. So I want the wood grain to be cool, and I want you to see it, but I want you to see, oh, kitty, and then I want you to see the wood grain. Like, so that's definitely a thing where you want to be conscious of, like, how distracting is your wood grain or any other freehand, because wood grain really is freehand, and freehand will attract the human eye. Like, people will look at it. That's just what it does to the mini. So here, I think it's a win because it's up near the face, right? He's holding the shield up, and so it's a little bit better than having like a spear haft to be out here and be distracting. So here, at least, it'll attract the attention to right up here. Yeah, basically. Yeah, I mean, it's fine if people notice your wood grain, but you really want them to see the most important part of the figure. So that's why I wouldn't make this wood grain, like, super stick out. It's why I'm going to leave that big dark shadow, and I'm downplaying it. I'm not going super, like, in your face with it. So, like, you look at it. Oh, hello, bird. My big blue bird is back. So you look at it and you know it's there, but it doesn't immediately pull your eye to it. Like, you see shiny kitty first. Yeah, the orange, that was tactical decision for sure. The orange fur just helps a lot. If I had done black fur, it would be harder. Alrighty, so let's do some highlights on our leather. We used ruddy leather, which is 9109. It's a very reddish leather because I wanted a different, I wanted something that was kind of similar to the, like, in the family, like warm like the orange, but not that would distract from it. Now, the way we usually do highlight ruddy leather is with oranges, but that might clash with the fur because the fur is such a bright orange. If I start using muted oranges over here, it might not work. Right. It's enough detail to be noticed without drawing the eye. So I'm gonna grab a bright orange. Sunrise. But I think I'm also gonna grab like a yellow. Maybe even oxide yellow. I'm gonna try a couple different combos and see which one I like best. So this way, if I use the orange to bring it up and it just kind of harmonizes with the fur because I'm using one of the colors I used in the fur, then awesome. But if it starts to look like it's going to clash because it's more muted than the fur color, then I'm going to have to change trajectories. All right, so ruddy leather. Let's just try doing a 2 ruddy leather to like 1 sunrise orange first. See what kind of color that makes. And if I feel like it's good. A reddish brown leather often does come up kind of golden, so that would be within the realm of realism. Sorry, gotta use my pokey stick here. There. I may need to put a little white in this as well, or off-white, if it's not coming up as much as I'd like it to. I will be adding white further along. Yeah, see, this brought it up just a little bit, but it didn't actually shift it a lot. So I'm going to grab my bleached linen, or my Osirian sand might be a better choice. Add a really yellow little bit. And I just want to add like half a drop, so I'm going to just make kind of a smear, if I can get it to come out. Kind of a little bit of that color against the side of the palette. When I don't want a full drop, I'll just kind of start to squeeze it out and just get a little bit on the side of the palette. That'll shift it a little bit more. I'll start with that. And I do want to get my regular Ready Leather out as well. Yeah, it's not really a lot different from the original Ready Leather now that I have it in my palette, so I may actually need to add a little bit more of that off-white. You gotta add enough to make an actual highlight. But I don't want to bleach it out too much, so that's why I'm being very cautious. That's a good color. That almost looks like saddle brown. It's a little bit more warm than saddle brown. Saddle brown's a little reddish, more reddish. Just drop a drop of water into my Ready Leather so I can keep it at a workable consistency while time passes. If you're going to use a well palette, always put 1 drop of water into your paint. If you're going to use a wet palette, obviously, then you can just go straight out of the bottle and let it sit because it's going to naturally thin itself while it's on the paper. But if you're using a well, you put 4 drops in, always add a little water, just like 1 drop. That will help keep your paint wet over quite a long time, actually. At least a half an hour, sometimes a full hour, depending on like the ambient temperature and humidity in your location. Yeah, that's why I don't add full drops, Gibson. Sometimes I'll just squeeze it out and just nick a little bit off with my brush. So I'm going to block in a little bit more because I put this color over a white primer and I feel like I didn't get a real solid coat of the Ready Leather. So I'm just going to do a quick, I thinned it, I'm going to do a quick touch up, then we'll do our highlight. I also need a line between the fingers on these because I didn't do it before. I usually do it right after I base coat. It also matters what color you're adding in for your highlights. Like I didn't really want to go pure white with this because it would be a little pasty. But because it is a kind of reddish orange color, using a yellow makes sense because it's just going to pull it closer to orange. Because if you look at this, you can see clearly that this is very red. And that is a lot more orange. And part of that is due to us adding a drop of orange, but the other part is adding a yellow white. I just did a PDF for my Patreon last month about mixing highlights, and Osirian Sand is one of the colors that I suggested using. All right, so let's try out this highlight. It is slightly thinned, I'd say. It's about a 3-to-1, looks like to me. Yeah, I think that's actually going to be a good highlight. All right, cool. I do need to line between those fingers. Let me get this out of the frame. Let me get closer in here. Kitty cat. Nice. Yeah, the old pro paints. Yep. I liked those pots, but actually we had to cancel them because the company that made them wasn't selling enough of them and canceled the design. But pro paints never sold as well as the droppers anyway, so droppers just keep your paint good for so much longer. So I'm using my, in this case, black because I had it mixed up. I'm using that to line the fingers so that they are, it's more clear that they are separate fingers. And then when I put the highlight on them, that'll help as well. We have a lot going on this weekend. We have another show down in San Francisco on Saturday. Hopefully not as depressing as the last play. The last play was really good, but was like really sad. And you knew it was going to be a tragedy when you went into it, but still. I like happy plays. This one should be a happier play. So highlighting the fingers there. Yeah, even with, I mean, these guys, the MSPs will eventually solidify as well. Any paint will, because air generally will just start to leach. Uh-oh, a little bit of a blurf there in the lining. Let me try to scrub it off with some water. There's a gap between these two fingers, and I keep hitting it with paint, so I'm going to actually put in some more black there. Yeah, Bloodstone is was a really cool color. Don't we have something like that now? Like, isn't Tianzia Jade really close to that? From Pathfinder? But yeah, I usually recommend adding a few drops of water to your MSP paints every few years. Shake them really well. Yeah. Well, it'll leach through plastic. Like, it'll leach around through the bottles too, and there's a double layer, of course, because you have two caps, but it'll leach slowly through there, but it'll also just slowly osmose through plastic. Like, it happens. It's just really, really slow. But usually I tell people, if you want your MSPs to stay good for 15 years, then every few years, shake them well and add, like, I usually add 20 drops of water out of one of these. You know what? I think I am going to make a black rim. Even though I've got a split front on the shield here, I think I am going to add a black rim around the whole thing instead of keeping it purple up top. This is annoying me. So I'm just going to go black. And I'm going to go black around the sides too. There, I like that a little better. Now I can have more of an obvious border between the wood grain and the painted front, and I like that. Oh yeah. Yeah, those are old, all right. That's the first batch in our you'll actually probably like your replacements because we have updated the formulations since then on a lot of colors. So I find in general our paints these days are better than the initial batch. Truly fresh paint is very nice. All right, there we go. I like that. Yeah, that's much better. All right, now back to our leather highlighting. Yeah, that's the first batch. The taped on labels are the first batch. Yeah, we try not to operate on that business model, Dicey Guy. I mean, as far as like, have to buy more. I would rather have your paint stay good for a very long time than for you to have to rush to use it up so it didn't go bad. But, so a little bit of highlight there. That helps bring the leather out. I don't need a lot down here, but just the edge of the glove, I think. Yeah, that's a good highlight. I think so, Pendrake. It'll probably be orange. Because I wanted it. That's why I went purple and black with the shield, even though I had a lot of purple on the back already here. Because I wanted this to be orange. I still have to decide what I'm going to do with the sword. I know I want some sort of magical, like, kind of color effect on it. But I haven't decided yet what I want to do. All right, let's highlight this leather over here. Yeah, oh yeah. I would not be I'm not unhappy with that result for sure. Over 15 years of use. That's pretty darn good run for any paint. Any acrylic paint. Let's qualify that. Obviously, solvent-based ones can stay good for longer, but usually they're in the horrible glass bottles, and that means they actually don't because you can't get them open. I'm looking at you, testers. Hello, Mini Monster Paints. Thank you for the raid. We're working on a kitty today. I'm just highlighting leather. I was highlighting wood grain earlier in the stream. Kitty's getting pretty close at this point. Kitty, I need to do the sword. I've been trying to figure out, I want to do some sort of colored glow effect or colored, like, just kind of shimmer effect on it. I think I want purple and blue, white or something, but I just haven't decided yet. So we have to do the ball of yarn. She'll probably be orange. I actually forgot these straps back here, so let's get these colored in. I was doing black for all my straps, so I'll just block those in. That way I can highlight them when I do all the rest. But this is the Catfolk Paladin Reaper. It's a metal figure, so its item number is 4051. Sculpted by Julie Guthrie, who is in the chat. She's nice enough to hang out with us. Just to repeat for people who are new also, or who just came in later in the stream, I will not be on Monday, as the 4th is a holiday. And then I won't be on Thursday or Friday either, because we are flying to Seattle for David's mom's birthday party. Fancy, fancy birthday party. Hopefully I get to go to Mount Rainier. That's my thing. I'm like, can we go to Mount Rainier? Can I go to Mount Rainier? Can we go to Mount Rainier? So hopefully they've gotten the message that I kind of want to go to Mount Rainier. But maybe not. We'll find out. Maybe his parents have other stuff planned, and they would rather not, you know, drive me to the big mountain. Need to get that, get a little bit of white primer in there, so I'm going to get that blacked in as well. And I still need to line these fingers. Oh, I'm glad you love Reaper paints. That is my thing. I made them. If you didn't know that, then hi, I'm the person who made Master Series paints, like created them. Mixed them by hand every batch for 15 years, or at least 99.95% of the batches. Only when I was on vacation did anybody mix anything else. I want to go to the Carbon River Valley, which is, you know, rainforest, the temperate rainforest. I want to go to Christine Falls. I want to go to the Grove of the Patriarchs. Anything else is gravy. If you wondered, I'm a terrific nerd, and I actually was inspired to make Mount Rainier the setting of my werewolf game back in the day, long time ago, back in the 90s. So I'm a total fan of that park, and I've spent a lot of time reading about it and looking at pictures, because when it's the setting for your role-playing game, you have to do research. It'll be, tomorrow is Saturday. Yes, I will be on tomorrow on my personal private channel, twitch.tv/paintingbig. I will be on at, around 3:30 p.m. USA Central Time. But I will not be on Monday, and I will not be on Thursday and Friday. But when I get back, hopefully there will be, many pup dates. I should have lots of puppy pictures by then. All right, there we go. Got our black straps. Let's get our Gibson. But yeah, when you want to go to a national park because you it was the setting of your werewolf game for 20 years. Actually, for longer. I ran my first werewolf game in like the mid-90s. And that was the setting. And I made that the setting because I had been out to the area, and Mount Rainier is just dominating. Like when you can see it, it dominates the skyline. It's obviously like, boom, huge mountain. So I was like, okay, if there's anywhere out here that would be a place where spiritual energy gathers, that's it. So yeah, back in the 90s. And then I ran my last werewolf game, which was actually just a few years ago. Back, I think in 2018-ish. So yeah, a lot of time. That was my setting. There we go. Just highlight the first set of knuckles there so you can see them. But yeah, so I want to go and see these places in person again because, you know, for old time's sake. And also, I just love Mount Rainier. It's just such a huge, powerful mountain. I love mountains, so. I love rocks in general, and Mount Rainier is a giant rock. A giant collection of rocks. David will tell you when we go to Yosemite, I'm all about the rocks. Cool, Kana. Yeah, it's supposed to be one of the easier mountains to climb. I don't really want to climb it, but it's a beautiful park. Ah. Oh, I'm very, very jealous of your aunt then, Gibson. That's a great mountain to have a view of. Just going to trim up the edge there of that. And we've got our leather, first highlight on our leather, looking pretty good actually. It's not distracting, it's not clashing with the fur, mostly because we're keeping it pretty dark. So I'm going to make one more highlight. Yeah, my fiance grew up there, Kana. His dad is from this area where I am in California, but his parents live in Seattle and he grew up there. They did some hiking. He was more into skiing. All right, so I'm going to transfer some of this paint over, and I'm going to use that to make a new highlight. I'm going to add, again, a drop of orange, sunrise orange. And again, this time I'm going to add a full drop of Osirian sand. If I can get it to come out. There it is. Bloop. I'd like to get to Australia. That would be cool. So this has made it very pale because I only used a little bit of that and I mixed a lot of other things into it. What I'm going to do is thin this down though. I'm going to put another drop of paint in it. Or water, sorry. Ha. Mount Rainier is cool. It's like, it was cool setting for werewolf because it was close enough to the big city that you could do adventures in the city and out in the wilderness. So it's a good setting. Alrighty. I'm going to do tiny little highlights with this lighter color. Just little touches, like on the knuckles. Just to make things stand out. You can see it a lot better if I get this. There we go. Just to make these little areas stand out a little better. It's just on the knuckles there, on the thumb. So we want to shrink our highlights with every layer. And our highest highlights should be quite small. But they still help everything stand out, you can see. And I definitely want them more toward the top, not toward the bottom of the arm. The exception is just right down here because I want to bring out the edge of the glove. So I'll bring out that. So then when we zoom out again, we can definitely see the glove. And it's not like clashing, it's not overwhelming, so it's pretty good. Sept of the Sleeping Fire. Sigwolf. Of course. And I could still just roll that off my tongue without even thinking, you notice. A sept is a group of werewolves that are protecting a particular place. They may be all of one tribe of werewolves, or they may be a mixed cairn, as it's called. The cairn is the actual hotspot of spirit energy, so that would be the actual mountain, but the group of werewolves guarding the cairn is the sept. So, Sept of the Sleeping Fire, Mount Rainier National Park. And there were definitely werewolves that wanted Mount Rainier to erupt so that it could wipe out the humans in Seattle. Like, that was one of the tribes of werewolves. Werewolves are very, you know, they'd like to protect the world, but that doesn't necessarily include humans for some of them. Werewolf is my favorite role-playing game of all time. The 20th anniversary edition is a very good edition as well. So you've got just those little bit of highlights there. There's a little bit more highlighting here just because the hand sticks out. Alrighty. So I brought in my reddish brown, my ruddy leather, just a little bit more there so I didn't lose that color. Now my gloves look the same color. We can clearly see the highlights and we can see the details. That's what we want. Super. Mount Rainier was a multi-tribal sept in my game. So we had a lot. There were some, obviously, like some of the urban tribes were not represented. They were in Seattle proper. They come from two different roots, though, I think. Because September is from the Greek, but sept itself, I'm not sure if it's the same root. But it's not just a tribe of werewolves. Like, a sept is like it's a social group. Like, it's been a word for a social group. I didn't go into that in Ara, but maybe. Yeah, Rifts was fun, but like, I don't know. I didn't have a great time at Rifts because I didn't choose the broken character classes. I chose the character race and class that I thought was fun, and it was not one of the super overpowered ones, which means I didn't have as much fun in the game because everybody else could outperform me. That was the thing I didn't like about Rifts. I think to have a really good Rifts game, either you need a really good GM who's going to keep things more balanced as far as the storylines, or you need to have the players understand the system so that the characters end up balanced in power. That's just my thought. Or Roman, I don't know. I don't remember. All I know is that our month names are based on, like, you know, Roman stuff or Greek stuff. Yeah, Mount Rainier could be a serious one. That's why it was fun. That's why it's fun, Turgeon. Just imagine that there's a group of werewolves that were born wolves instead of people, and they were really unhappy with humans. Can't imagine why. And they decided they wanted to wake up the mountain. Yeah, that was pretty much what I had going. It was fun. It was a really good storyline. Yeah, that's what I had. I had very much an underdog character. Yeah, everybody else with their juicers and stuff totally overwhelmed the game. All right, let's see here. Black straps. Let's do a bluish highlight there so that we can make it very different. We don't want it to stand out hugely, but we do want it to actually stand out, and we don't want the black straps to just disappear. So I'm going to use actually Nightmare Black, which is a very strong blue-black. So the first thing to understand is that werewolves in Werewolf the Apocalypse are actually like true shapeshifters, Nomad Zeke. They can be born human, or they can be born wolves, or they can be born from a union of two werewolves. And they are a race of shifters. They are not like, it's not lycanthropy or anything. They are an actual like race that's been around since like the beginning of the world as we know it. They venerate the Earth Goddess, and they're pretty much like war machines in their battle form because they were supposed to protect her. They're kind of her immune system. So you can see that's gone very bad in today's world. Has not worked out ideally. Irish clan? Ah, Sept is an Irish clan. Thank you, Gibson. I knew it was something. Maybe a medieval mispronunciation of sect. Thanks, guys. I always like to know. Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Pendrake. But yeah, so wolves that were werewolves born wolves can take human form. Although they typically don't like to. Except for some weird ones. You know, no matter what you're born, you can take all of the forms. But if you were born a wolf, because you typically don't actually shapeshift until, you know, adolescence, you know, you were raised as a wolf and then you started, you know, except you're maybe a little smarter and a little bit weirder. Then you find out, you know, what humans have done to the world. Yeah. So that's kind of the werewolf thing, is that werewolves are supposed to be the world's immune system. They have failed utterly at it, and you, as a new werewolf in this modern day and age, are coming into a pretty flawed world. So can you make it better? Like, a lot of GMs ran the werewolf world very dark, but I didn't. I believed in the world of dimness, not the world of darkness. I always liked my player characters to feel like they could actually influence things. Yeah, I haven't seen the Shifter race in D&D. What source book is that in, War Shadow? I haven't been keeping up with my 5th edition. Cool. Yeah, that makes sense that it's all based on Roman numerical names. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Ah, the Mordenkainen book. People who are a world of dimness. It's true. But yeah. Alright, so this is a very blue highlight. So I'm going to kind of block in a little bit of highlight on the strap there. Let's get close. Oh, I need to get closer. Closer, camera. Closer! I'm going to bring in this blue. And just to show you how very blue it is, like, if you add white to Nightmare Black, those are the colors you get. So it's very blue, which is nice because it is going to make it stand out against all this reddish leather. You can see how that stands out. So, but I still want it to be black, so I can't let my highlights get too over the top. That said, I usually do put them on pretty heavy, and then I trim them back a bit. So has anybody played Coriolis? It's a game that came out a few years ago. It's kind of like Arabian Nights in space. And I got it before the pandemic. Just at the start of the pandemic, actually, is when I got my copy. And then, of course, we didn't have role-playing for a long time. But now I may have a new group, and we may play it. Neat, Gibson. Alrighty. So kind of just a little bit of highlight. Trying to keep, gonna try to keep this a little toned down. Remember, for any surface to look black, to read as black, it needs to mostly be black. So you need to keep your highlights small. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, luckily I had a David, so we actually played some of our Gloomhaven, but we had us being 2-player. And now we have Bardsung, but we haven't We've been busy, too busy to actually break it out on the weekends. There we are. So a little bit of a highlight up here at the top where the strap goes into the metal fitting, which we haven't painted yet. Little tiny highlight coming out of the hand there. It's a big strong highlight here. I need to take that down a little bit. I can glaze it to make it a little darker. I can glaze it with black. So I'm going to build a glaze, which is a very pretty much colored water. I'm going to grab some of it on my brush and brush it over the kitty cat strap. And it's going to darken the strap down just a little bit. And we'll let it dry to see how much it did. Glazes and thinned acrylics always dry lighter than they look at first. So as it dries, it won't really see, there it is. So we can see it, but it's more toned down. That's more like what I wanted. I think I am going to take a really thin line of the pale blue and run it down the very edge though. Which is more what like you'll see Games Workshop do if they're trying to paint black. They'll do an edge highlight, and that will pick up the shape of the surface nicely while still letting it look black. So I'm going to glaze just a little bit there. And now we can see that strap. Oh no. Yeah. So are you playing now, Gibson, or has other shiny things jumped in the way of your group? Because, you know, there's lots of other shiny things now. Alrighty. Yep. You, Ben and Ara. Yeah, you have a happy holiday. Yeah, you too, Crowley. Hope your meeting isn't too boring. Hey, at least it's Friday. I'm happy about it being Friday. I'm going to just put a line highlight on the top of this. I'm going to grab some of my darker blue and bring that in a little bit. Kind of brings that strap out there under the arm. So you see the tactic with the blue is working quite well, actually. It does make things stand out against the brown, even though they're dark. No, Monday I am off, Agent Marvel, because of the holiday. It's also Reaper's birthday, so remember on Monday to wish Reaper a happy birthday. And then I will be off on Thursday, Friday, so I will only be streaming Tuesday, Wednesday next week. Then we have travel to get out of the way. And there we go. I think I'm pretty happy with that. So we got all our gloves and our arms straps and all that stuff. No, I've got to do the back of the paws. Almost forgot. I had straps back here. Oh, right. That makes sense, Gibson. Yeah, I don't have anything right now. But we have a group that might start up, so. I'm going to do a little bit, got that dark blue in there. Now I'm going to do a little bit of a sharper highlight. Because these straps are leather, they can have a little bit of a sharper highlight. because leather usually has some gloss to it. It'll catch the light. That one's a little bit thick, so I'm going to tone that one down. Alrighty. A little bit more highlight here. There we are. A little bit of our, at least we've got a little highlight on our little back paw holders, armor holders. Yay. All right. Woohoo, Kitty. Kitty's looking really very close to done now. We still have, there's still some NMM that I have to clean up. I need to finish here and here. Want to clean up some of this, which just is blocked in. So Kitty, we do need to spend a little more time on the NMMs here. A little bit more highlight on purples. Oh yeah, my purple is pretty good on the front. Needs a little bit more on the back. Need to do the sword, need to do the ball of yarn. But yeah, Kitty's moving right along. So that's great. Very happy with Kitty. Kitty is a pretty kitty. What do you guys think? Should I sell this one? I haven't sold a model for a while. We'll see. I need to finish Kitty up first. But Kitty might be a good one. I don't know if I want Kitty to go to Ron. Sometimes I like a model enough where I don't want to give it to Ron, but I'm not going to keep it, so then I have to sell it. No, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a purple fade. I'm going to start with the blue silver and do a little bit of like a purple fade. And sadly it's not big enough to really do runes or anything on it, but maybe I'll suggest a couple of runes. But I think the tip I'm going to do purple because there's a lot of orange now and orangey colors up here. So I feel like purple. Orange I think would be a little bit too distracting, and orange is also right next to the tail here. So if I'm alternating colors, the closest color to the sword is actually the orange. So that means I want to go purple. Does that make sense? Otherwise the orange looks like the tail is bleeding into the sword, which is a little weird. And I'm not going to do the whole blade as that color. I'm just going to add in some purple glow, like probably toward the tip. Do like an NMM and then have... Yeah, could do that too, Derek. At least the parts that are just metal. Like any of the, obviously the part that's glowing magically, like if I make it purple out here, I'm going to have to stick to my purple guns. But yeah, there will be grass because he has really green eyes. So we do have a green accent color. It's just they're really understated. So yeah, we'll probably do a grassy base for him. And also then I want to reflect that down here where it's tilted toward the grass, where the leg is tilted that way, and probably along the edges here. And maybe along the edge in back, which I have to work on. Kitty! Kitty! Kitty's coming along. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. A reminder, I will not be here Monday. A reminder, I will not be here Thursday, Friday. However, on Tuesday, we're back to the madam. We're back to the madam. She's coming along. We were doing the white, which is looking really nice now. I like it. I need to do it up here on the sleeves, so we may do some white and maybe some red. Although we've got a lot of the red. Kind of set. We need more red, I think, on the bottoms here. Need to do some touch-ups, too. So we have quite a bit to do on back, and I need to do the freehand design. I think I've decided I'm going to do the freehand design on the back as well. So yeah, so we'll either do like freehand, or we'll do like some more red touch-ups, or both, or we'll do some on the cream up on the top of her. We have to bring the sleeves into line with what we did down here. So yeah, overall though, I'm pretty happy with how she's turning out, and she's also close to done. Like really, we started these guys at almost the same time, and it's taking us almost the same time to actually paint them. Ooh, Reaperland should be on. Kitty. I just really like Kitty. Kitty is a really great model. I have the Catfolk Mage too. We'll probably paint that one too, because I like that model. So maybe we'll replace one Kitty with another Kitty when this one is done. Alrighty, everybody. I hope you have a fantastic holiday weekend. Have a safe and full of awesome food 4th of July if you're in America. If you are not in America, feel free to celebrate Reaper's birthday with lots of food. All right, have a great one. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Or sorry, I'll see you guys Tuesday.